The Bobcat wouldn't leave the parking lot EV charger. It sat right beside the gleaming white pedestal under the LED pole light, so close its whiskers almost brushed the charging cable. And every time security guard Devon Shaw stepped out of the booth to scare it off, the Wildcat moved only a few yards, circled, and returned to the exact same charger like it was guarding it. It didn't bolt into the trees behind the lot the way wildlife normally did. It didn't hunt the rabbits that sometimes came out at night. It didn't even seem to care about Devon. It cared about the charger. And when Devon finally got close enough to smell the burning plastic drifting from the charging handle, he realized the Bobcat hadn't been hanging around for fun. It had been the first warning that a silent electrical failure was already melting its way toward a fire, right between a row of parked cars and the building full of sleeping people. Cedar Glen Apartments was the kind of complex that advertised quiet living because it sat on the edge of town where the street lights ended and the tree line began. Four low buildings, a small gym nobody used, a pool covered half the year, and a parking lot that always felt one space too small. 2 years earlier, management had installed EV chargers near Building C, three tall pedestals with bright branding, the kind of upgrade that looked modern in leasing brochures. The chargers were popular, especially with the residents who worked at the tech campus 15 minutes away. Devon Shaw hated them, not because he hated electric cars, because he hated anything in a parking lot that added risk at 2 a.m., anything that could draw people outside, anything that could spark arguments over spaces, anything with wiring and heat in a place where nobody expected heat. Devon was 35, former military, now working private security because it paid enough to keep his daughter in a decent school and gave him predictable shifts. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't talkative. He spent most nights walking quiet patrol loops, checking doors, watching cameras, and dealing with the occasional drunk resident who thought gated community meant no consequences. That Tuesday night in mid-December was cold, dry, and still. No rain, no wind. The kind of night where sound traveled, car doors, footsteps, even distant train horns. Devon started his shift at 10 p.m. and expected nothing more dramatic than someone forgetting their fob again. At 1:37 a.m., he saw the Bobcat on the camera feed. Camera 4 covered the EV charging row in the entrance gate. The view was crisp in the lot's white LED light, painted parking lines, a black Tesla at Charger 2, a blue Hyundai Ioniq at Charger 3, and the three charging pedestals standing like street kiosks. And right at the base of Charger 1, a cat-shaped shadow sat perfectly still. Devon leaned closer, squinting at the screen. It wasn't a house cat. It was too big, too thick through the shoulders. The tail was short. The ears looked pointed with little tufts. Bobcat. His first reaction was disbelief. No way! His second reaction was annoyance. Wild animals near apartments meant phone calls, complaints, and the possibility that someone would try to approach it for a photo. That was how bites happened. That was how lawsuits happened. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped out of the security booth. Cold hit his face. The lot was quiet enough that his boots on asphalt sounded loud. The Bobcat sat exactly where the camera showed, on the concrete pad beside Charger 1. Body tucked tight, eyes reflecting faintly. It didn't run when Devon approached. That was the first thing that made his stomach tighten. Most wild animals fled when a human closed distance. This one only lifted its head slightly, watched him, and then looked back at the charger cable. Devon slowed. "Hey!" he called, raising his voice. "Get out of here!" He swung his flashlight beam across the animal. It blinked, flinched, and stepped away, just 3 paces. Then it stopped, turned, and sat again. Still facing Charger 1, Devon frowned. "What are you doing?" He clapped once hard. The sound cracked across the empty lot. The Bobcat stood, walked a few yards toward the tree line, then, infuriatingly, circled back and sat down again beside the charger. Devon felt irritation slipping into unease. This wasn't typical. He glanced around the lot. No people, no open trash, no stray cat colony, no obvious food source. The charger area was clean. So why was a Bobcat fixated on it? He took a cautious step closer to the charger pedestal. The Bobcat stiffened, its ears angled forward. It didn't bare teeth or hiss, but its posture tightened like a spring. Devon stopped. He didn't want to push it into a charge response. Bobcats rarely attack adults, but rarely isn't never. And he wasn't paid enough to wrestle a wildcat at 2 a.m. He backed up half a step. The bobcat relaxed a fraction and stayed put. It wasn't guarding territory. It was guarding a boundary, like it didn't want him near that exact spot. Devin's mind clicked through possibilities. Kittens nearby, unlikely in a parking lot. Injury, it moved fine. Rabies, eyes clear. Behavior focused, not erratic. That left one thing he trusted more than psychology: smell. Animals react to smell first. Humans are slow. Devin inhaled deliberately, trying to catch anything unusual. At first he smelled only cold air and faint car exhaust from earlier. Then he caught something subtle, sharp, chemical, faintly sweet. Plastic, warm plastic. Devin's spine went cold. He didn't move closer. He shifted angle, walking around the perimeter of the charger pad at a safe distance from the bobcat. The smell strengthened as he moved downwind. Yes, it was coming from Charger 1. He looked at the pedestal carefully. The status light on the front was on, glowing green like everything was normal. But the cable hanging from it looked slightly different. The charging handle was seated in its holster, but the rubber around the handle neck looked glossy, almost wet. Devin narrowed his eyes. That wasn't wet. That was melted. His pulse slammed into his throat. If the handle was overheating, if there was a short or resistance fault, plastic could melt, insulation could fail, and an arc could ignite. In an EV charger, that could turn into a fire fast. And the charger was right beside two parked cars, one of them actively plugged in. Devin stepped back toward the booth without turning his back fully on the bobcat. He grabbed the radio and called the property maintenance on-call number. No answer. He tried again. Still no answer. He cursed softly and called 911 instead, because when you smell burning plastic at an electrical installation, you don't wait for someone to wake up. 911, what's your emergency? This is security at Cedar Glen Apartments, Devin said fast. Possible electrical fire risk at EV Charger Row near Building C. Smell of burning plastic, visible melting at charging handle. I need fire department response now. The dispatcher's tone sharpened. Is there active fire? Not yet, but it's overheating. 2 vehicles nearby. Do you have access to shut off power? There's a breaker cabinet in the utility room, but it's locked. I can try. Do not put yourself in danger. Units are en route. Devin hung up and ran toward Building C's utility room door. He had a master key, but the door sometimes stuck. He jammed the key in, twisted, yanked. Door opened with a reluctant scrape. Inside, the utility corridor smelled stale and faintly of bleach. The electrical cabinets were along the wall labeled. Devin found the panel marked EV chargers and opened it. A faint warmth radiated from the breakers. He didn't touch anything bare. He used the back of his fingers near the main. Warm. Not sizzling, but warm enough that it shouldn't be at this hour. He flipped the EV charger main breaker off. A low hum in the corridor changed pitch. Devin sprinted back outside. The status lights on the chargers flickered and went dark. The bobcat, still near Charger 1, lifted its head sharply at the change, then sat again as if waiting for what came next. Devin didn't relax yet. Power off reduced risk, but overheating components could still smolder. Plastic could still burn. And if the fault was at the vehicle connection point, the car's onboard system could have been affected. He approached the charger row again, carefully staying out of the bobcat's immediate radius. The smell of burning plastic was still there, but now it was not intensifying. That was a good sign. He kept people away. A resident door opened on Building C's first floor. Someone in pajamas stepped out, squinting. What's going on? Go back inside, Devin said sharply. Electrical issue. Fire department coming. The resident hesitated until Devin's tone made the decision for him. The door shut. Across the lot, the bobcat shifted, then jumped up onto the concrete base of the charger pedestal and stared at the handle holster again. Devin swallowed hard. Animals don't know what EV chargers are, but they know heat, smell, and vibrations. If the handle had been arcing, it would have made faint crackling. It would have produced ozone, hot plastic, and a sound high enough for sensitive ears. The bobcat had probably been drawn by that long before Devin smelled it, and because it wouldn't leave, Devin had been forced to pay attention. Sirens arrived within 6 minutes, fast for this side of town. A fire engine rolled into the lot and stopped near the Chargers. Firefighters stepped out with a thermal camera and insulated gloves, faces serious. Captain Elise Garner approached Devon. "You called about overheating Charger?" Devon nodded. "Charger 1. Burning plastic smell. Handle looks melted. I shut off the main breaker in Building C utility room." Garner nodded once. Approval without wasting time on praise. "Good. Keep residents inside." She and her crew moved to Charger 1, scanning with thermal imaging. The camera showed bright heat concentrated at the handle holster and cable neck. Hotter than it should be with power off. "Still hot," a firefighter said. They pulled the handle free carefully with insulated tools. The underside of the holster was blackened. The handle casing had softened and deformed. Inside, the contacts showed signs of arcing, tiny pitted marks where electricity had been jumping, rather than flowing cleanly. "Loose connection," Garner said grimly. "Could have gone." They checked the other chargers. Charger 2, the Tesla plug, was warm but within normal range. Charger 3 was fine. The fault was isolated. A utility tech arrived shortly after, called by the fire department. He confirmed what Garner suspected. Moisture intrusion in the handle holster combined with a worn contact spring had created resistance, generating heat. Over time, it escalated until plastic began to melt. "Another hour," the tech said, "and you could have had flame." Firefighters cooled the unit, ensured no smoldering remained, and tagged the Charger out of service. Management would have to replace the handle assembly and inspect the entire Charger bank. Devon stood at the edge of the scene, watching, feeling the aftershock settle through his chest. The Bobcat was gone. At some point during the arrival of engines and lights, it had slipped away into the tree line without anyone noticing. Only a few paw prints in the frost-dusted asphalt near the Charger pad remained. Captain Garner, packing up gear, glanced at Devon. "You said you smelled it?" Devon hesitated. He could have left the Bobcat out. The report didn't need it, but the truth mattered. "I smelled it after I came out because a Bobcat wouldn't leave that Charger," he said. Garner blinked. "A Bobcat?" "Yeah," Devon said. "It kept coming back to the same pedestal like it was warning me." Garner's mouth twitched. Almost a smile, but not quite. "Well, whatever got you to check saved us a bigger call." After the fire engine left and the lot quieted again, the apartment complex felt different to Devon. Not because of the Bobcat exactly, though that was the part everyone would repeat later, but because of how close the danger had been to invisible. A Charger can look fine while melting inside. A status light can glow green while heat builds in a connector. A whole building can sleep while one cable decides to fail. Devon filed his shift report at 4:10 a.m. in clean, unemotional language. Observed wildlife lingering near EV Charger Row. Noted odor of burning plastic and melted handle at Charger 1. Shut off EV breaker. Notified fire department. Fire crew confirmed overheating/arcing at connector. Unit tagged out. No injuries. He didn't write Bobcat saved the building. But at dawn, when a resident posted in the community chat asking why the Chargers were down, and someone replied, "Security caught it before it caught fire," another person added, "Heard a Bobcat was involved?" And the story grew, as stories always do. People imagined the Bobcat as a hero, a messenger, a guardian of electric cars. Devon didn't argue with them, but he didn't encourage it either. All he knew was this: he'd been willing to ignore a faint smell until an animal behaved so strangely he couldn't ignore it anymore. Sometimes that's how disasters are prevented, not by brilliant foresight, but by an interruption, a break in routine, a wild thing sitting in the wrong place until you finally look closer. That night, in a quiet parking lot under cold LED light, a Bobcat wouldn't leave the EV Charger until the guard smelled burning plastic.